Massachusetts. I got booze and claps, so I mean, make up your mind. No Patriots.
Yeah.
Okay, well, whatever. I have the microphone. I was born and raised in Boston. My father was an alcoholic. I grew up around drug addicts in my family. I met one of my uncles in prison when I was real little. He was in there for breaking and entering with heroin. I saw drugs when I was very, very little, so I remember growing up around this stuff and seeing my father lose his jobs and things like that. And I remember saying, I never want to be like that. I used to tell people when I was little, I'm not going to be like that. Of course, when high school came around, I had all this pain inside me from the experience that I had when I was little. And I started drinking and smoking, and it made me feel great. It finally took away that pain that I had my whole life. I didn't have to deal with anything. I could just numb myself. So to make a long story short, when I was 22 years old, I found myself hopelessly addicted to Loratab, taking pills every day. But if you ask me, I would say I'm just having a good time, right? I didn't know anything about addiction because I was never going to be like that. Long story short, 2004 I got arrested for distribution of Oxycontin up in Boston. I remember the day like it was yesterday. It was raining out, and I went to make a drug deal. And the police popped up out of the bushes and they took me out of the car, put their knee in my back. It was raining out. I was getting arrested because somebody set me up. I was selling to a police officer. I remember that was the first time with my face in a puddle and handcuffs on. I said to myself, I think I may have a problem. How did I get here? How did I end up here? I was hopelessly addicted to Oxycontin for 6 years. I was a slave. I did things that I never thought I would do. Of course, I've been to 20 rehabs. I've been to 5 psychiatric units, arrested multiple times. And in one of those rehabs, I met someone that said, hey, you know, heroin's cheaper. I said, I'll never do heroin. I'll never use a needle. He said, no, it's no problem. I'll do it for you. 5 years after that day, I was addicted to heroin. I was living on the streets. Family wouldn't talk to me. I literally wanted to die every day. I just didn't want to live anymore. I didn't know how to change. I didn't even know that change was possible. 7 years ago, I got on a Greyhound bus in Boston, Massachusetts, headed for the Foundry. When I got to the Foundry, I remember when I left Boston, I had enough heroin in my pocket to last me 2 weeks. I did all the dope before I got to New York. So I was dope sick when I showed up here. I was withdrawing from heroin. I was sweating, I was freezing. Does everybody know what I'm talking about? I remember I got off the bus and got to the Foundry, and they welcomed me in with open arms. They said, hey brother, it's gonna be all right. I just started crying, immediately crying in front of the Foundry. I was crying because I didn't know how to live, but I also didn't know how to change. I got on my knees at the Foundry and I said, God, I don't know if you're real, but if you are, you need to show me, or I'm gonna die. It's been 7 years since I put a needle in my arm. The road hasn't been perfect for me. I've relapsed on other things, but every day when I wake up, I know this. I have the same choice to make as the businessman up the street. We all make a decision every day what we're gonna do. I don't have to let this disease drag me down. I can overcome, because I do make mistakes. But I overcome those mistakes. I'm not gonna let yesterday dictate my future. I'm encouraged to see you guys out here today. 3 years ago, I got a phone call from Boston. It was my aunt. I know you guys say aunt. Aunt's a bug to us. So my aunt, it has a U in it. Yeah, I'm the one to say how to talk, right? I got a phone call and she was crying on the phone and all I could hear was her breathing heavy. I said, "Are you okay?" She said, "Danny, I don't know how to tell you this, but your cousin's, he's dead. Michael's dead. We grew up together, we played ball together. Michael overdosed on heroin 3 years ago. It devastated me. Devastated. I relapsed. But at this time, I had a wife that stood by me and prayed with me. And she said, this is not your purpose. I am not going to let you die at all. You're going to overcome this."